The African tech market is heating up. Just look at the explosion of startups in recent years, with fintech at the center of it. You could point to the success of Paystack in Nigeria, expanding further. And now that it has been acquired by Stripe, doing even better things. Or Chipper Cash, founded by Ugandan and a Ghanaian. Both of those companies help money move around the continent and the world. But for Africa, there's a reality that many entrepreneurs with great ideas head overseas to fire up their businesses. Our next guest says it doesn't have to be that way, and the digitization of the African economy could help it leapfrog the world, but only if it invests in proper resources. Lacina Koné says he wants to create a single digital market in the continent by 2030, and as Director General of the Smart Africa Alliance, he's working with several countries and organizations to make that happen. I spoke with Koné earlier about their plan to accelerate Africa's digitalization. Take a listen. Is someone leading the way here? And should we be looking at this more cohesively and saying Africa's working together in unison for once on one specific project?
Yes, we can say that because collectively, individually, they all strive. And collectively, if you put all of these together and we're learning from each other, we're actually growing together. And the central role of what Smart Africa is playing is really coordination and harmonization of laws. Because a challenge which is very important is a regulatory environment in Africa for the emerging technology. And that's our central role. How do we coordinate all of these in order for the investor to be able to predict the future? Because only when the investor can predict, then they will come to invest in Africa.
We have been saying for such a long time that Africa has the potential to leapfrog the rest of the world in terms of legacy technology, and we can just go forward. We've seen incredible movements on the fintech space, and Africa dominates the use of mobile money transfers. I mean, we've done incredible stuff.
Absolutely.
But have we seen anything new that's that disruptive that can change lives that dramatically?
Well, we have seen it, probably not big enough. However, today Africa has about 7 unicorns. When we talk about leapfrogging, let's talk about that for a second. When we talk about leapfrogging, this is about innovation-based entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Our young generation, the young people represent 70% are below 30 years old. Imagine a second in Africa. What's a unicorn? It's any company valuation over $1 billion, right?
So we've got 7 of those right now.
We got 7 of those right now. But however, listen to this. So once we have every African developing an application, selling it for $1 to a 1.3 billion population, how many unicorns we can create a day?
That's 1 a day?
Thank you. That is the potential.
And that's the potential.
That is the potential.
So what do we need to get to that? You're saying the innovation basically exists on the continent, so why haven't we gotten to that place?
To get to that, we need because it's about digital economy and it's about sustainability. For digital economy to be sustainable, it actually requires innovation. It's driven from the innovation.
Yeah.
And innovation can only strive on the long run in an adaptive regulatory environment. I keep on saying, infrastructure is a regulatory environment. Digital government is about regulatory environment.
Okay, there's one thing we know that we fail on a lot is just acting quickly. So regulation takes time because you've got policymakers that sit in a room that they need to make a decision on. How fast are we moving on that front?
You may call it failing, I call it an opportunity.
Okay.
Because the fact that people may see Africa as late, but the fact that we are late, we learn a lesson from other people. So that's also an opportunity. I don't necessarily call it actually a failing, but I think we're learning from a lot and we're doing it differently in the context of Africa. Because it's not everything that works in the West will work in Africa. For example, mobile money. Today we control about 50% of mobile money registered in the world, 70% of the transaction and 60% of transaction value. It basically means we're a mobile continent. But who else is doing that in the world? Now, by having that, all this progress, and we're only controlling 1.5% of the digital economy, and the US controlling 70%, China controlling 24%, it basically means I don't see that as a failure, I see that also an opportunity.
But we were ahead on mobile money. My issue is that we've been talking about the same infrastructure around mobile money for quite some time now.
Yes.
How do we build on that progress that we've clearly pioneered?
Regulatory environment.
Okay, so policymakers need to do this. Okay, fine.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about some of the most amazing digitally advanced companies that have been bought out by Silicon Valley.
Yes.
Do we want that to happen? Do we want to change ownership? Do we want to keep them purely African?
even if those companies, the unicorn are bought by Silicon Valley company, it still remains an African company doing great in America or even in the world. I think this is actually a very good way of looking at things. Imagine our young generation, the younger kids program as coders, and they're seeing their friends developing company or building a company being bought at $1 billion. It actually encouraged them because one way, the government is helping them to actually organize themselves through what we call Startup Act. That's an opportunity nationally, continentally. Again, globally, this is an opportunity that they can set up a company and sell it.
I want to be realistic. To be able to do what you're saying, we need access to fast, cheap internet.
Yes.
That is not a reality for many people on the continent. But what people do have is a SIM card.
True.
How do we bridge the gap?
True. But what Africa has been able to achieve with the low connectivity compared to productivity, if we give us 100, even 90% connectivity in Africa, we will actually surpass all the planet. I'll explain why. Today, the connectivity is at the 39.8%, and we do have about 30% in the usage gap. Why usage gap? We do have a network, mobile network operator out there, but people are not using it because of affordability, because of cybersecurity, because of access to devices, because of access to content in the local context. So once we're able to work on those, I think from now to 2025, we can see this 39% jumping to 51%. So we are very optimistic. I believe we're doing really great at our own pace.
All right, that was my conversation with Smart Africa's Director General, Lacina Koné.